Join our family of creators. Your support means the world to us. Subscribe now to the Content Creator channel. Your support keeps us motivated and helps us bring you fresh, exciting content every week. Hit that subscribe button and be part of our journey.
The idyllic serenity of Baisaran Valley, nestled in the heart of Kashmir, is a sight to behold. Known for its lush meadows and breathtaking vistas, it is a haven for nature lovers and adventure seekers alike. This picturesque valley, often referred to as Mini Switzerland, attracts thousands of tourists every year, drawn by its tranquil beauty and the promise of peace. However, this peace was shattered on April 22, 2025, a date now etched in infamy. On that fateful day, gunmen, their faces concealed by masks, stormed into the valley, their weapons aimed at unsuspecting tourists. These men, armed to the teeth, moved with a chilling precision, their intent clear and deadly. The tranquil air was pierced by the deafening roar of gunfire, a sound so out of place in this serene setting that it sent shockwaves through the valley. Panic ensued as visitors, many of them Hindu pilgrims, scrambled for cover. The once peaceful meadows turned into a scene of chaos and terror, with people running in all directions, desperate to find safety. When the dust settled, 26 innocent lives were lost, their bodies strewn across the once pristine landscape. The aftermath was a grim tableau of loss and devastation, a stark contrast to the valley's natural beauty. The Resistance Front, a militant group operating from across the border in Pakistan, claimed responsibility for the carnage. This group, known for its violent tactics, justified their actions as part of a larger struggle. They justified their actions as retaliation for the perceived injustices faced by the people of Kashmir. This narrative, however, did little to assuage the grief and anger of those affected by the attack. India, however, pointed the finger squarely at Pakistan, accusing its government of harboring and supporting the terrorists. The Indian government's response was swift and unequivocal, condemning the attack and vowing to bring the perpetrators to justice. The Pahalgam Attack sent shockwaves through India and the international community. News of the attack dominated headlines, with images of the violence and its aftermath broadcast around the world. It was a stark reminder of the volatile situation in Kashmir, a region simmering with discontent for decades. The attack highlighted the deep-seated tensions and the ongoing struggle for control and autonomy in the region. The attack also brought to the fore the deeply strained relationship between India and Pakistan, two nuclear-armed neighbors locked in a seemingly intractable conflict. The historical animosities and territorial disputes between the two nations were once again thrust into the spotlight. The international community condemned the attack in the strongest terms, calling for restraint and urging both sides to engage in dialogue. Leaders from around the world expressed their condolences and called for a peaceful resolution to the conflict. However, the incident threatened to unravel the fragile peace in the region, pushing India and Pakistan closer to the brink of another devastating war. The military build-up along the border and the heightened tensions underscored the precariousness of the situation, leaving the world watching anxiously. To truly comprehend the roots of the India-Pakistan conflict, one must journey back to the tumultuous events of 1947. The Indian subcontinent, once the jewel in the crown of the British Empire, was on the verge of independence. However, the euphoria of freedom was overshadowed by the spectre of partition. British India was to be divided along religious lines, creating two independent nations, India with a Hindu majority and Pakistan with a Muslim majority. This monumental decision, while intended to quell religious tensions, instead ignited a firestorm of violence and displacement. Millions of Hindus, Muslims and Sikhs found themselves on the wrong side of the newly drawn borders. The partition triggered one of the largest mass migrations in human history. Communities that had coexisted for centuries turned on each other with unimaginable brutality. Estimates suggest that over 1 million people were killed in the ensuing riots, and countless others were left homeless and traumatized. The scars of partition ran deep, leaving an indelible mark on the psyche of both nations. The violence and displacement sowed the seeds of mistrust and animosity that continue to plague India-Pakistan relations to this day. At the heart of the India-Pakistan conflict lies the beautiful but troubled region of Kashmir, a land that has been a focal point of tension and strife for decades. A land of snow-capped mountains, verdant valleys and sparkling rivers, Kashmir is not just a geographical region but a symbol of natural beauty and cultural richness. Kashmir has been a source of conflict since the very birth of the two nations. The roots of this dispute can be traced back to the partition of British India in 1947, a time of immense upheaval and violence. Both India and Pakistan lay claim to this strategically important region, leading to numerous wars and decades of bitter dispute. The strategic significance of Kashmir, with its location and resources, has only intensified the rivalry. In 1947, as the rest of the subcontinent was engulfed in the chaos of partition, the fate of Kashmir remained uncertain. The princely state was caught in a dilemma, with its future hanging in the balance. The Hindu ruler of the predominantly Muslim state was hesitant to join either India or Pakistan. Maharaja Hari Singh's indecision was a reflection of the complex demographic and political landscape of Kashmir. However, an incursion by tribal militias from Pakistan forced his hand, and he acceded to India in exchange for military assistance. This decision was a turning point, setting the stage for the first major conflict over Kashmir. This accession sparked the First Kashmir War between India and Pakistan in 1947–48. The conflict was brutal and left a lasting impact on the region and its people. The war ended with a United Nations brokered ceasefire dividing Kashmir along a line of control. This line, however, did not bring peace, but rather a fragile and tense truce. However, the underlying issue of Kashmir's final status remained unresolved. The people of Kashmir found themselves divided and their aspirations unfulfilled. The dispute over Kashmir has become a core issue of national identity for both India and Pakistan. It is deeply embedded in the national consciousness and political rhetoric of both countries. It is a constant source of tension, casting a long shadow over any attempts at normalization between the two neighbors. The military standoffs and diplomatic deadlocks are a testament to the deep-seated mistrust and animosity. The unresolved Kashmir conflict continues to be a major obstacle to peace and stability in South Asia. The hopes for a peaceful resolution remain distant as the region grapples with the legacy of its turbulent past. The unresolved Kashmir dispute has led to two more major wars between India and Pakistan in 1965 and 1999. These conflicts have left deep scars on both nations and have had lasting impacts on their political and military strategies. The 1965 war was triggered by a Pakistani military operation codenamed Operation Gibraltar, which aimed to infiltrate and incite an uprising in Indian-administered Kashmir. The plan was to create enough chaos to force India to negotiate on Kashmir. The operation backfired, escalating into a full-blown war that lasted for 5 weeks. Both nations mobilized their armed forces, leading to intense battles across the border and within Kashmir. The 1965 war ended in a stalemate, with both sides claiming victory. Despite the heavy casualties and significant military engagements, neither side could claim a decisive win. However, it further solidified the line of control and deepened the mistrust between the two nations. The ceasefire agreement left the territorial status quo largely unchanged, but the animosity grew stronger. Despite international pressure for a peaceful resolution, the Kashmir issue remained a festering wound. The United Nations and other global powers repeatedly called for dialogue, but the deep-seated mistrust made meaningful negotiations difficult. In 1999, tensions flared once again when Pakistani troops infiltrated the Kargil sector of the line of control. This surprise incursion aimed to cut off vital supply routes and create a strategic advantage for Pakistan. The Kargil conflict, fought at high altitudes in treacherous mountainous terrain, lasted for over 2 months. The harsh weather conditions and difficult terrain made the conflict particularly brutal and challenging for both sides. India launched a massive military operation to evict the intruders, ultimately succeeding in pushing back the Pakistani forces. The operation required significant coordination and bravery from the Indian troops, who fought under extremely difficult conditions. The Kargil conflict, while a military victory for India, highlighted the dangers of miscalculation and the potential for escalation in the region. The conflict drew international attention and underscored the volatility of the Kashmir issue. It also underscored the need for effective communication and confidence-building measures to prevent future crises. Both nations have since engaged in various diplomatic efforts to reduce tensions, but the path to lasting peace remains fraught with challenges. India and Pakistan possess formidable military forces, making any potential conflict a matter of grave concern. India, with its larger economy and population, boasts a significantly larger military force than Pakistan. The Indian armed forces are equipped with a mix of domestically produced and imported weaponry, including advanced fighter jets, tanks, and warships. Pakistan, while having a smaller military, has invested heavily in its defense capabilities. The Pakistani military is highly professional and battle-hardened, with a particular focus on its army. Pakistan also possesses a sophisticated arsenal of ballistic missiles and nuclear weapons, which it views as a deterrent against any potential aggression from India. Both countries have also invested heavily in their nuclear arsenals, raising the stakes in any future conflict. The spectre of nuclear war looms large over the subcontinent, a chilling reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked escalation. The possession of nuclear weapons by both countries adds a dangerous dimension to the conflict, making any future confrontation a potential catastrophe.